This is Katie Porter. If you don't know who she is, she's running for governor of California. The election is, I believe, in 2026. And so she has gone viral because of her personality. Let's just say that. But regardless, I'm going to go ahead and let this video play. And we're going to learn together who this young lady is. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into... Wait,
other
what?
problems, and the state could lose
I'll start
kids
all over.
dying prematurely to air pollution and other problems, and the state could lose. Get out of my fucking shop!
Whoa. Whoa.
It's not that it's electric vehicles, it's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Hey,
Okay,
yo.
it does. Okay, you also were in my shop before that. Stay out of my shop. Okay, I'm going to start again with electric vehicles saving us money. It's dying.
Well. Young lady got a potty mouth. Also, if you notice, I want to show you something, right? If you look at her, the lady who's talking, right, she has a mask on. And I'm not one of them, people who are gonna bitch and moan about people who want to wear masks. That's fine. You want to wear a mask? Wear a mask. I don't care. But look at this. Watch this. She has a mask. Okay.
Get out of my fucking
She
shop.
and she takes it off to talk. Isn't the point of having a mask to prevent from whatever it is you're trying to prevent from spreading? I just think this is interesting, but maybe this is just she just had a bad day. It was a hard day. No, I get it. We all have bad days. Let's go to another video and see how this young lady reacts. Maybe she'll react better and has a better temperament.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the
spicy.
same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
Correct. And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has
I don't care. I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never
reporter.
had to do this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make...
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through? I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these, and if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative...
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy
It's
experience
already on
either.
camera, stupid.
I would love to continue to ask these questions so that we can show our viewers what every candidate feels about every one of these issues that they care about. And redistricting is a massive issue. We're going to do an entire story just on the responses to that question. And I asked everybody the same follow-up questions.
From her whole hand gestures to the I don't want to deal with this. I've never had somebody talk to me like this. Well, it's an interview, young lady. You never had nobody push back on you saying something? Like, what is wrong with you? You're running for governor. It's like the definition of being governor, especially in California. You're going to have people asking you questions, and you're going to say things that people aren't going to understand, so they're going to want to clarify. And I don't see the problem with the question she asked. She just asked her, what do you say to the 40% of voters that are Republicans and voted for Trump or have voted for a Republican governor in the past? You know, and she's like, oh, well, I don't need them to win. That's what I don't like about what is, so what? So, okay, maybe you don't need them to win, but what would you say to them? And in the later portion, she even says, I've won in purple counties or purple parts of the state where I know how to get votes. That would have been a great answer. That's what's wrong with saying that. This is a compilation of her.
Get out of my fucking shot! Because I'm a leader. Bernard, I need you to turn these off. These that are killing me. Yes, we should have. Yes. Okay, everybody, I'm not that dark. I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. There's an allegation of groomer and pedophile. It is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity, their sexual orientation, their gender identity. I'm a leader. So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's gonna win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion?
What?
This is from a 12-year-old.
First off, what are you teaching your daughter? Number two, if a 12-year-old comes to you and says that, what are you around? I don't want to minimize the fact that young girls as well as women experience this, but to have that perspective at 12 is a bit ridiculous.
And so people were like, we gotta think every decision has to be made in tension with Trump. Soon Trump will lose or go to prison, or I don't know, have a heart attack. I'm not sure.
We call it the hamburger.
I don't know what his demise is
from
going to
heaven.
be, but he'll have his demise. And the question will still be there. Who are we as Democrats? And so people were.
Yeah, that's libs of TikTok. Let's go ahead and let's watch this clip of her.
President Biden has said that inflation is the #1 priority for the Biden White House to try to get under control right now. As you're out there in California talking to constituents during this re-election year for Congress, how does inflation compare to this newly important, in the sense of the Supreme Court decision pending, abortion issue? How do those two issues compare?
Well, I don't think they compare. I think they actually reinforce each other. So the fact that things like inflation can happen and it can become more expensive to feed your kids and to fuel your car is exactly why people need to be able to be in charge of how many mouths they're going to have to feed. So I think the fact that we're seeing this jump in expenses, that we're seeing people having to pay more in the grocery store, pay more at the pump, pay more for housing, is a reason that people are saying, I need to be able to make my own decisions about when and if to start a family. So I don't think we're going to see them. I don't think it's like about comparing them or contrasting them. I think they reinforce for people just how big of a responsibility it is to take care of a family.
Did she just compare or say that because inflation is high, you need to have access to abortion because you need to be able to control how many mouths you have to feed? Did I miss that? I don't think I missed that. I think she really just went there with it. That is that's a scary thought process. What about contraception? What about, practicing safe sex? I always hear people say, oh, well, there's always accidents. It's not an accident that happens. You don't just, as a guy, you don't accidentally fall into a woman and now all of a sudden you guys are having sex. That's not how that works. If a woman wants to get an abortion, I'm not necessarily against it. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I wouldn't want a woman I'm with, if we happen to, be in that predicament to want to get rid of a child, especially when it's my child. I think that I would oppose it then. But when it comes to the overall use of it, fine. If that's, you want to have the ability, I don't have a problem with that. What other videos?
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice.
Oh, this is the
12, and
water
she
polo.
got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people, and how important it is for Democrats to have strategies, both at the state level and the federal level, to make sure that we can continue to protect people's rights.
Why is a 12-year-old even worried about politics to begin with? You have grown adults who don't understand the political system, but then a 12-year-old is focused on that? That to me doesn't make much sense. Talking about to your kid that makes her even had this conversation. And as a matter of fact, cry after water polo practice. First off, water polo? You like who just I don't think the majority of America has their kids in water polo, number one. I think that off rip shows you where you guys are living or what part of the country you live in and who you're around, number one. Number two, it's just like, why after water polo practice? Why not at dinner? Why not an intimate moment where you're talking to her about how her day was? You just put any slop on my plate and I'm just gonna eat it up? What's wrong with you? Listen, California has a whole nother thing coming to them, and I don't think they realize it just yet.
Well, according to people who had worked in her office, she has made multiple staffers cry. People are generally so anxious to even staff her, because if anything goes wrong, she flips out on whatever staffer is present. She just talks to staffers however she wants. One criticism of Porter has been that she allegedly is a terrible person, according to some accounts, abusive and racist. In December, text messages surfaced in which Porter scolded a staffer for giving the Congresswoman COVID. One message said she was rage-prone and had a tendency to disparage staffers. Others suggested her expectations were wildly unrealistic. One message accused her of making racist comments. Those are from her staffer. And remember, those are from 2022. Wow. I mean, we've seen this, and they just buried all of that. And now you're starting to see it. You know, when you force people into uncomfortable situations, you generally see who they really are. And that wasn't really that was a normal situation for anybody who's right. You can't handle that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with him. You know who people are once you push them a little bit and see how they react. I don't know if I believe him completely as well with the things the staffers are saying. I would like to see some proof in that. But from what I've seen, she doesn't seem like a very pleasant person. She seems agitated when she's pushed or when she's pressed. The moment she's asked, she doesn't like. Maybe there's some truth to what Glenn just said, but again, I usually take everything with a grain of salt because you never know. Oh, let's see what this is. This is Glenn, here's another video of Katie Karen Porter dehumanizing women in sports by calling them sporting bodies. Oh boy, not this argument. All right, let's see what she has to say.
We should be able to have a civil debate. Nobody, including Riley Gaines, who I disagree with strongly, should feel
What do you disagree with, out of interest?
I think that it should be up to sporting bodies to make the decisions about who and how should compete.
What has she said that's actually wrong?
I think that what she has done is try to turn this. We talked about people, using things to kind of get likes and get clicks.
That's not what she's doing.
It's not?
I've got no truck for Riley Gaines personally, but all I've seen her do is stand up for women's rights to fairness and equality.
But
she actually competed against Leah Thomas, and it was obviously unfair. Leah Thomas won one of the races in the NCAA championships by 50 seconds against a bunch of biological females who simply couldn't keep up. That cannot be right.
Pierce is cooking.
That is something that I trust.
Pierce is cooking. And also, I feel like Pierce could say anything and it just sounds like marvelous. Marvelous. The British accent is one I wish I had. I won't lie.
I think our sporting bodies should be dealing with. And by the way,
sporting bodies
up for herself, and that is her prerogative, and I respect her free speech.
I think she's speaking up for pretty much every female athlete in the world.
I mean, wasn't that the point of Title IX? Title IX in the early 70s was something that was was a major event in feminism that we finally have this law that says at colleges, right, and I think high schools too, but definitely colleges, women's sports have to be given equal to men's sports, so that women aren't and this led to the WNBA and lots of other stuff. This seems to be the opposite of that. It seems to be so many instances, I think, where wokeness is the opposite of what I grew up as liberalism. Liberalism was, let's give the women an equal shot. This is let's put a male in the swimming pool with the women. I don't get it.
It's crazy. Trans people who genuinely want to compete at athletics and swimming or whatever it may be, they're the ones who are suffering here. They need to be found a way to compete fairly and justly.
Well, what's your answer then?
I think there's one or two answers. I think they either compete against their biological sex, as many of them did before, or you create an entirely new category for transgender athletes. And then they're able to compete fairly. But what you cannot do is continue to allow more and more trans athletes to start decimating women's records, in some cases, irrevocably. It's just not fair.
Okay, I got to end it there.
Yeah, I mean, it's common sense. And you see how she didn't really say much. At least in that argument, there isn't an argument. It's like, that's why you have women's sports. You know, if they were good enough to play in the NBA, you'd have women in the NBA. I think sports are the best example of a meritocracy where you have competition and the best of the best win out, regardless if it's white, black, Asian, Hispanic, and they don't care. And also, one other thing I wanted to say about this clip, right? You have a woman who is, by all intents and purposes, a woman, I would assume, and is having a debate against a man. And the man is defending women's sports while the woman is not. Are we living in an upside down world? Is that what's going on here? I think we're living in an upside down world. This is crazy. Is this her? Oh no. Oh no. Video resurfaces of Democrat gubernatorial candidate Katie Porter showing up to work in Washington, D.C. in a Batgirl costume. Oh my God, this is crazy. Like, what is going on? We're living.
Congresswoman Porter, does Alfred get minimum wage? If you return the Batmobile, could you pay for the Green New Deal?
Hey, yo, there's no way. There's no way. The dude asked, does Alfred get minimum wage? It's like, this is crazy. This is what they do. The former husband of Rep. Katie Porter said the California Democrat frequently abused him verbally and threw toys, books, and other objects at him during their marriage, even pouring scalding hot mashed potatoes on his head during a fight, according to divorce records. Matthew Hoffman, who filed for divorce from Porter in 2013, said in a request for a restraining order dated April 30th of that year that he was routinely called a fucking idiot and fucking incompetent by his rage-prone spouse, who also shattered a glass of coffee pot on their kitchen counter in March 2012 when she felt their house wasn't clean enough. Oh boy. And she's not married?